Hello team, my name is Monique. Welcome back to the Cauldron, where we today are going through 5 of my most disappointing reads of 2020. In case you didn't know, this is Bookwitchreviews and my channel, and just as a disclaimer before I start, me saying that these books are disappointing is not me pointing fingers at the author saying that they are bad writers. It is not me saying that these books are not worth reading, and it is not saying that if these books are your favorite that you are a bad reader. Okay, don't come for me, I will not have it. However, each of these books were books that I was really looking forward to. They were books that I had been anticipating, and then somehow there was something that went wrong for me, which means that they are now on this disappointing list. I am not usually very salty. I am quite a hype reader and excited reader, and normally I don't really want to rest too often on books that make me sad. So none of these books are DNFs. I do not include those because then I have not read all of them, but these are all 5 books that I read and was hoping to love, and they just let me down, I guess. So let's do this. I might just film this video and not even show it, but it seems to be one of those things that other people like to know. Do you like to know people's opinions when they don't like things? I guess I do, because I like knowing stuff. Anyway, let's jump to it. So the first book on this list is one that I was very excited for. I had a very beautiful edition come to me from Owlcrate, and you may have heard me talk about it, and this is Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar, which is a magical realism sort of book where a young girl is born. She is half star, half human, but one day she accidentally burns her father with this starfire, and to save him from death she has to get sort of blood of a real star. So she takes off to this magical celestial court that her mother is a part of, and ends up becoming part of this competition to choose the new ruling family, which her family would like her to win for them so that they can rule. And honestly, I was excited for the cover, I was excited for Hindi mythology, I was excited for this weird mix of reality and the magical, and the writing is very beautiful. However, I felt like it was a very standstill novel. Not a lot happened. It has these very sort of sudden jumps, so we are in a community on Earth where everything is very normal and no one knows that she is a star, and then in the next moment we are in this bazaar with all of these magical beings, and then again we sort of jump and then we're suddenly in the celestial courts, and that's like that, and it's just a little bit confusing. I did enjoy the fact that there was some queer rep. Her best friend is very obviously either bi or lesbian. She anyway has a female sort of flirty thing going on, and I'm also aware of the fact that this is a YA, so I am not the intended audience. However, I didn't feel like it was as much a young adult novel as much as it could maybe be in between middle grade and young adult. So for an emerging teenager, that makes them sound like butterflies or moths. It's not what I mean. Anyways, this book, I was fully prepared to love it and adore it, and it just fell a little bit flat for me. It is also Shveta Thakrar's debut, so I'm very excited about other books that she might write, because the Hindi mythology part of this book was definitely what kept me captive. I just wish there had been more of a push forward, and that there had been a little bit more of some anticipation and some what might happen next, and not just ooh stars. The next book is one that I sort of desperately wanted for a long time, and then I read it quite early on in the year and was very sad about the fact that I did not love it. And the only reason why I still have a copy is because I am sort of building a small tower of books with sort of YA elements, and especially books that has minority rep or POC rep for a friend of mine who works at a school. And the book I'm talking about is The Light at the Bottom of the World by Shah, which has one of the most stunning covers that I adore it. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2019. I, however, won a giveaway and got a copy from a Bookstagram friend, and I am just so sad that this does not live up to the expectations that I have of it. Basically, this book is set in a dystopian sort of future where the whole world is underwater. We live in these sort of very isolated cities. This one is set in London, and we are sort of like living on almost borrowed time. People keep saying one day we will get back to the surface. However, we are following a young Muslim girl whose father disappears, and she's trying to find him, or I believe he might have been wrongfully imprisoned, but basically she sets out to do this race so that she can ask for his clemency. However, there is a rebellion brewing. There are these almost mermaidy siren creatures who people believe are very aggressive, who are attacking these isolated cities. And just the world of this and the premise of this was just like, it just sang to me. However, I did not feel like there was a lot of action. The sort of building of the story was very like disjointed in a way, and I felt like the characters that we were like introduced to didn't really have a lot to say, and I'm sad about it. I'm really sad because I wanted so much more from this book. However, it is still one that I definitely think that people should read. I think the whole underwater like world is very exciting, and it's a very exciting view of how we would deal with that. And I also absolutely love the fact that we have Muslim rep that I feel like is very accurately portrayed. So I definitely still think that people should give this a shot, and you might just love it a lot more than I did. I don't know what just happened with the light here. Like, I think the sun suddenly came out outside, and now we are in a different time zone apparently. So that's just lovely. The next book on this list seems to be one that is very talked about both on Booktube and on Bookstagram. A lot of people are really enjoying it. However, I feel about this book in the same way that I felt about Serpent and Dove, which is just the romance just didn't happen for me, and I felt like it was missing something. And the book I am talking about is The Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco, which I very gracefully was granted an ARC from NetGalley, and I read it before it came out, and I think about it and then I get annoyed about it, because this book had so much potential. I think that's the main thing about all of these books on this list, is that I was very excited. I thought that they were like, I was ready to be engrossed and sort of all encompassed by these books, and it just didn't happen. This book is set, I believe, in an Italy inspired fantasy world. We are following twin witches who are quite young, who from a very young age have been told by their grandmother to never trust demon princes, which in itself, I just feel like if you're saying that to two very young girls from a very young age, either they're going to be scared of everything, or they are going to automatically be like, one day I'm going to meet one of these and I'm going to have to do something about it. And that sort of comes true. One of the twins die very suddenly in the beginning of the book, and our remaining twin sort of sets out to find out what actually happened to her sister, and the only way that she finds out that she can do that is by summoning a demon prince. I feel like that's a really bad idea, but that's what happened. However, the good part of this book is the fact that I loved the description, I loved the setting of this book. However, I did think it was a bit confusing about like where we were. Were we actually in Italy? Were these witches just like a secret? But it seems like there were many of them. There were many like groups of them, but they never spoke to each other. Why didn't they speak to each other? And then I'm just a little bit confused about some other things that sort of came with this book. But yeah, so she summons a demon from hell whose name is Wrath. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why people love it so much, because Bookstagram people are just crazy about demony men, especially with tattoos. But I just felt like there was no real enemies to lovers, because she never really hated him. And I just felt like our main character had a really interesting, almost introspective sort of personality in the beginning of the novel. And then as her sisters die, which I know is a big like thing, obviously, and it might change someone, but she just did a 180, and everything that I enjoyed about her just sort of disappeared. And I wasn't really big on Wrath either. In general, I was just annoyed about this book. The very ending was like the last bit that might have like dragged me in, but overall I thought that the pacing was off. I got really annoyed about the characters. I didn't really care about them. And I didn't understand the world. What I did like was the description of food, because they made me hungry, because these witches, apparently their family owns like a fancy restaurant, and it just sounded delicious, and I really wanted some Italian food. But overall, I think I gave this 3 stars, 2.5, and the more I think about it, the more annoyed I get about it. So it's just one of those books where I'm like, no. In the same way I felt about Serpent and Dove, where I was like, there was so much good, but it was also really annoying. And I don't know if it's just because I used to read a lot of urban fantasy. I don't know if it's just because I used to read a lot of paranormal romance, and I've read this sort of storyline before, and I don't have a problem with reading the same storyline over and over again, as long as it's good, as long as it's steamy, as long as it's what I want, and this was not it. The 4th book on this list seemed to be one that most people were a little bit disappointed by, which I guess is a bit sad because the cover is one of the most stunning ones. And it is Bonecrier's Moon by Kathryn Purdie, which I also had a copy, very beautiful copy of from Owlcrate, and I ended up selling it because the book literally made me want to fall asleep. And I don't understand why I spent time on reading it, but I did. This book follows 3 main characters. We are following 2 young sort of bone criers. They are called, they have grown up in this maternal colony where there is only female bone criers, and bone criers help the souls cross over. But to do so, you have to have these graces, which you get from animal bones, and then you also have to kill the man or the person who could become your one true love. And we're following two different young women. One who is meant to be the next matriarch of the Bone Criers, who is very excited and sort of sets out to have all of these graces and then to kill her one true love. And then we also follow her best friend Sabine, who doesn't really want to be a bone crier because she does not like killing. And then we are also following a young man who lost his father to a bone crier when he was very young, and so he now sets out to sort of rid the world of bone criers. And they get pulled together because he ends up taking the young heiress to as captive. He, however, may actually be her true love. Sabine sets out to save her. There is another plot going on. However, none of the characters really drew me in. I thought that the idea of the bone criers was super exciting. However, the actual push behind the bone criers, I didn't really feel like there was a lot of understanding behind that. And overall, I was just a little bit like, why? What? Why was this book written? What was the reason? What was I meant to get out of it? I just got so annoyed by the fact that I spent time on this. I wished I DNF'd it, because overall it just left me with a feeling of like, okay then. And then I moved on. And then the last book on this list is Havenfall by Sara Holland. I still only have this because it is going to my friend who is a teacher. And this is a very, very, very beautiful Illumicrate edition. And I wish I loved this book. However, it just left me with another sort of shrug my shoulders and go, okay, feeling. This is another magical realism book where we are following a young girl who, for as long as she can remember, have spent these summers up in her uncle's sort of inn. However, it is not a regular inn. It is an inn with doors to other worlds, specifically 3 other worlds, and then a locked door to a 4th world that people believe is evil. And basically she sets off as she normally does to she hopes to inherit this inn one day. However, as she gets there, her uncle suddenly gets ill and almost in a coma, and she has to figure out why this is happening, while also still keeping the sort of diplomats from the other worlds happy and safe, so that we can continue having these doors open. And I enjoyed the sort of bi-rep that's in here. However, I felt like the plot was very predictable, and I felt like our main character didn't really have a lot to say other than that things just kept happening to her, and yet she's just sort of letting it happen. It just happened. It just felt like a very monotone book. There wasn't really a lot of up and down, and in the end I just thought it was a little bit whatever. It's just the book. you could chill down there. So there you have it. Those are my 5 most disappointing reads of 2020. I feel really salty now and slightly annoyed. I guess that's why I don't do these sort of videos often, because I feel like it just brings negativity into my life, and I live for positivity, okay? I want to hype. I don't want to bring people down. And once again, a reminder, if you love any of these books, good for you. To each their own. I hope you love it immensely. I wish all of the authors the very best. I hope that I at one point can read some other books of theirs that I will then enjoy. But these books were just not for me, and that's entirely okay. So if you did enjoy this, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any of the videos from me. I upload quite regularly, as you may have noticed, because I am in lockdown again and I have nothing else to do. So I hope you're doing great. Remember, I'm proud of you, and remember to wear your mask, and I will see you guys soon with the next video. Bye.